So, could you tell me, before we get onto Austria itself, maybe tell me something about the company?
Yeah, sure. So we're here today at BioEurope in Munich, representing the Viennese company invIOs. invIOs stands for Innovative Immuno-Oncology, and we've developed a few approaches to treat patients in cancer, obviously oncology. One of them is a small molecule, and the other one is a cell therapy, which we use on an autologous basis.
At what stage are they at?
So the cell therapies completed phase 1 trials, and we're preparing for a phase 2 trial next year, quite simply because we're right now looking for funding for this. And obviously the funding environment is difficult, but we're realizing that for certain projects it isn't as bad as it sounds. For the other one, it's a really exciting small molecule. We've got some amazing preclinical data in mouse models, and they've shown complete remission for cancer. Triple negative breast cancer, for example, has actually gone, and it hasn't come back, even though we've resubmitted it.
That must be both exciting and frustrating because of the amount of time it takes to get that to where you want it to be.
Yeah, it's the time, it's the money, and it's the long, the drug development takes ages, and in particular for us, getting drug development, ready so that investors invest. They're becoming very particular about what they invest in and which state the company is in. So from that point of view, it's a long way we still have to go. I absolutely agree.
And then of course there's all of the regulations on top of that, and
yeah, we have a few challenges there because quite simply ATMPs, which is the case here, it's a particular type of drug, and therefore there isn't much experience in Europe on this. There's more experience in the US. It's getting better, and so we're both us and the authorities are working together to make sure this works.
What's the reasoning behind being at BioEurope? Is it for funding?
Yeah, primarily. Partners as well. We're looking for partners to co-develop possibly one of our projects, in particular the small molecule. And yeah, of course, if you don't go out, you won't be seen. So you have to be there for whatever reason it is.
You mentioned the extremely good results. Does that generate a lot of interest?
It does. Certainly, we've got quite a few good meetings set up, and I think I have to go now. No, we've got a few good meetings set up, and there is a lot of interest. But obviously, the pharmaceutical companies, they like to change their approach every so often. So if one day you're speaking to them about this, the next day you're talking to them about that. And so we have to be on the ball with them all the time. So having discussions is not just discussions, it's also concrete developments, what they're planning, what their strategy is, and what our strategy is, and getting that aligned.
Right, and obviously you mentioned that you're in Vienna and we're behind the Austrian booth. What's the status of the biotech scene in Austria?
Well, the Austrian biotech scene, unbelievable. This year there are 70 companies here from Austria, and if I look at when I came to Austria 6 years ago, there are only about 25. It's amazing what has happened in that country, and that's also down to the fact that the Austrian government has been putting a lot of money into life science, in particular life science, drug development, research, but also clinical development as well. Meaning there are funding possibilities up to 50% of project costs, 14% of all costs as a research grants, and these are cash grants. And that makes it very exciting for anyone who's starting a company to come to Austria. So we founded a new business association, or let's say industry association, Biotech Austria, 3 years ago, to cater for all these issues that biotech companies have, and obviously the particular local interests of Austrian biotech companies. And that's great because we work very well with the clusters like LISA, you can see in the background, and other clusters as well. Human Technology Styria, we set up a summit, biotech summit, first time this autumn, and it was really good because there was a lot of interest and there was a lot of networking, and people feel, become more self-confident about Austrian biotechnology. So that's really good.
When you have an Austrian biotech cluster, is that something that resonates with people? Because obviously Switzerland has some very good biotech, Germany. Is it something that people recognize?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the end, science wins, right? We did a publication this year called Science Always Wins, question mark, exclamation mark, quite simply because science does in the end always win. The good science is there, and Austria has really good science. Around 70,000 life science students per year available to deal with this. There are a lot of good inventors, there are a lot of Nobel Prizes, even though the Austrians do go outside of Austria to develop their career further. Christopher Huber with BioNTech, for example, and others as well. But they do come back in the end, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get investors to come to Austria, but also there's a lot of Austrian money, and we should try and get the Austrians to invest in biotech as well. And there's always going to be new developments. AI is becoming very popular, a popular issue. There are a lot of challenges ahead, but a whole new brand new group of ideas and a lot of new innovation coming up, which we hadn't thought of 5 years ago.
Right, and so I guess capitalizing on that is always an issue.
Yeah. I mean, with interest rates rising, there are alternatives to invest your money now. Right? But on the other hand, there's always going to be a good side of biotech. You're not just investing in projects, you're investing in the health of future mankind.